welcome to the Welch Review. Today we'll be doing The Invisible Man.
As you can tell, Sam and I are...
Invisible.
So, The Invisible Man is definitely a remake of the classic monster film in the heyday of Universal's monsters, such as Frankenstein, the Wolfman, Creature from the Black Lagoon, and The Mummy. And it's got an update from Blumhouse by a veteran of Blumhouse named Leigh Whannell. My apology if I have mispronounced that name. And it stars Aldous Hodge, Oliver Jackson Cohen, and God, what is that girl's name?
The blonde lady?
Yeah.
The main character.
The main character.
Yeah, we'll figure out what that name is.
So anyway, the basic plot of the story is it seems like this young woman is in a rather abusive relationship and she's just trying to survive and get out.
Yeah, and then like this, I wouldn't call this spoilers because it's all shown in like the commercials, but yeah, then her like crazy boyfriend develops a way to become invisible so that he can mess with her and beat the living hell out of her and her friends. So basically, it's kind of just like a crackhead's journey through like a breakup. You know, like I swear to God, he's in that chair. As you can see, we are in those chairs. Yeah. So basically, she's just like he's right there, like the whole time to everybody around her, and they're all like, "She's crazy, huh?"
But she does it so convincingly, and we can stop saying she now because her name is Elizabeth Moss.
There we go, Elizabeth Moss.
She does a great job committing to this role of, sure hysteria, right? Where like she sees what no one else sees and knows what no one else knows. She plays this character beautifully, and also I dare say kind of humorously, because if you think about it while filming, the director's like, hey. Pretend someone's in the room and you're petrified, and she just goes apeshit bananas on the floor, kicking and screaming like, "Ah!"
Yeah, like there's scenes where she's just like on the ground getting beaten up, and she has to like pretend like she's getting beaten up. Actually, part of me kind of wonders if they had a guy in like a green jumpsuit, you know what I mean? Like actually acting out what was going on around her.
Just like standing there, like trying to like make funny faces at her, just trying to keep it real.
I meant more like in the scenes where she's being attacked.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, like some of the scenes where she's like getting dragged or like, fighting somebody would be really, really hard to pull off.
True.
So I mean, on the one hand, like she must have kind of looked like a whack job on the set, like for all the people who are looking on, where she's just pretending to be like getting the crap beaten out of her and like smash plates over nothing, but at the same time it's also kind of like, wow, you have to be a good actor to make that look believable.
Absolutely, and convincing, and I think a lot of, not just Elizabeth Moss, but the directing, right? Leigh Whannell he both wrote this movie and directed it, but he's really created a film that's very small in size, but packs quite a punch, right? Like, essentially, there are maybe, like, seven characters that are really important in this movie, and he wields them beautifully in and out of scenes. And just, like, from the beginning with how they do, like, the intros to produce, like, the production houses, right? Like, introduce their names and the route he went to, like, showing them. He took something that possibly could have been campy and made it like, scary to say that could happen, like, in the future with the way technology is. Like, it is a possibility. He makes horror out of nothing, out of a literal chair.
Yeah, like, I definitely wouldn't say that this is the scariest movie that I've ever seen. So, like, if you're, like, really afraid of scary stuff, I wouldn't say that this is something that'll, like, terrify you. But at the same time, it's very well done. You can tell that it is intended to be a horror movie. And while it isn't scary, like, it definitely, unless you believe in invisible people, it definitely, like, gets across the point that in its own world it would be terrifying. Like, everybody thinks that you're insane. There's somebody invisible stalking you, all the time, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Which I think goes to that idea, like, everybody has felt like, am I being watched?
Yeah.
You know, like, it plays up that paranoia,
Yeah.
like, really, really well. And, like, it's shot. His framing is very tight. It's very crisp. You know, and the editing is done beautifully.
Yeah. So, previously you had mentioned how this was like a remake, right?
Yeah.
Well, kind of a complete remake. You know, this isn't exactly like
Maybe a reimagining.
Yeah,
would be better.
reimagining. But how does this differ from the original Invisible Man?
Well, in the original Invisible Man, I believe he takes some sort of potion, right? And that makes him invisible, and then, like, so people can see him, like, because he's completely invisible, right?
Yeah.
He's running around naked, you know.
Yeah.
Like, being kind of a creep. But he's not supposed to be, like, a bad guy, if I'm remembering right.
He's just like a dude.
Yeah, he's just like a dude. At least from, like, the iteration in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which could be totally wrong to base this on. But he would wrap himself up in, like, linen.
Yeah.
Like, kind of like a mummy. He'd have a trench coat and sunglasses. You know, this guy's a billionaire, you know, in optics, which was really a smart way to, like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
So they kind of do the opposite. Instead of, like, to be invisible you have to be naked, they went with to be invisible you have to have, like, a full body suit.
Right.
Kind of, yeah, because in this movie he wears a costume, quote unquote.
Spoilers.
Costume. Yeah, that makes him invisible, which is the big kind of distinction, like the difference between the two. I wouldn't call that a spoiler. I feel like that was gotten across in the trailer.
In the trailer,
yeah.
okay. But I think then going with that, it's like, what is the cost to be a monster, right? What does it cost to stalk someone? What extents are you willing to go? Like, she left me. I'm a billionaire. I'm going to use this $1 billion suit to fuck with her.
Yeah.
Because I can.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that's true. It's kind of like, yeah, so there's the phrase, like, the real monsters are humans. This guy was doing that, except with, like, a Tony Stark budget, and he was like, I'm not just gonna look in her window, I'm gonna become an invisible person and sit across from her. But, yeah, I don't know. It's a well done movie. I would definitely suggest it. It won't, like, scare you to the point where you can't, like, sleep at night, but it's definitely a horror movie.
It's a really well done horror film.
Is.
I would also argue, like, you know, definitely has a lot of jump scares.
Yeah.
You know, and it's really like a thriller as well. You know, like the whole scene, a confrontation rather, like in the hospital.
Yeah.
Right? Or the holding area, wherever they have her. Like, from that point to, like, the end of the movie, I thought were
more thrillery,
and but elements of horror as well. Like, you didn't know around what corner. Also, cops or what security guards, they're so, like, I know that's probably an interesting time, but, like,
well, no, in movies they're dumb as rocks.
They're so dumb.
Just like it's just like, look at this cannon fodder, they die.
Yeah,
you
like,
know? One
cop literally is like, stay where you are, and she's like, I'm over here, man.
Yeah,
like,
and, like, he just watched, like, his friends get murdered by an invisible ghost. Yeah.
I don't believe in no ghosts. Like, clearly he didn't see Ghostbusters, and he was of the age where he probably grew up and saw that, so whatever. But Oliver Jackson Cohen is a very, very interesting choice for, you know, the Invisible Man, the title character. You know, I think, as Sam said, like, that Tony Stark, like, evil Tony Stark is definitely the vibe you get here, because he's exceptionally manipulative. You know, and then it plays into the idea, like, oh, the rich can't do wrong, because the cops then are like, yeah, but he was locked up in the basement, even though all things point, you know, to him to begin with.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty incoherent point. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I fell.
Which you can't see because we're invisible.
Invisible!
Boom!
We're back! Oh, turned off the invisibility, Stefan. Is that you?
So, like we said, Invisible Man, maybe not the scariest thing you'll see this year, but it's definitely one of the I think, the best made films we've talked about so far.
Well, at least it's believable in its own environment, right?
Yeah.
Like they do a good job to build up believability. So yeah, I would say it's a very good movie. It has decent world building, even though the world's not very much different from our own. Yeah, if you're looking for a good horror movie to watch, check it out. Also, the reason why we were invisible is because my razor stopped working halfway through. It's an electric razor, so now only half of my face is shaved, and I have a mustache.
Which will be part of our next review. So,
Spoilers.
stay tuned. This has been the Welch Review. We'll see you later.
Bye. Alright, I'm gonna go